Hello, everybody. Uh, we're going to be starting in about 5-6 minutes as more people are streaming in. Thank you very much for joining. We'll get started in about maybe less than that, in about 3 minutes or so. Thank you. Thank you very much, guys, for joining. We'll be starting in about 1 minute. Thank you guys so much. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining the webinar today. So as you know, the title of the webinar is Blood Serum Viscosity. So we're going to be talking a lot about blood serum viscosity, why it's important. We're going to show data results we can get. We'll be showing real-time results as well. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's see here how I can go to the next slide. But first, I'd like to pay a tribute to the late and great Dr. Gregory Sloop. I'm sure many of you, if not all of you, know who he is. He collaborated with our team for years and contributed greatly to the field of blood viscosity. So if you want to see the webinars he gave for us, you can see those in our YouTube channel. It's called the Viscosity channel. So very straightforward name, the Viscosity channel. So as you know, from the title, we're going to focus on blood serum viscosity, but I'd like to tell you a little bit about me first. My name is Christian. I'm an application scientist at RioSense, and I've been at RioSense for about 3.5 years now. I have experience in viscometry and some rheology, particularly with respect to pressure-driven viscometry, like our VROC technology here at RioSense. Here at RioSense, we can provide you with the tools to measure the viscosity of many of your materials. So we excel at measurements with small volumes, high shear rates, viscosities up to 700,000 centipoi with high accuracy, especially high accuracy for low viscosities under 10 centipoi. So most of the samples we work with are biologics for biopharma applications. So these include proteins, oligos, and others. And we also have experience with testing blood serum and as well. So today we're going to show you how to use the RioSense's latest viscometer, the microVISC Pro, to continually measure the viscosity of your blood serum samples. So this instrument is our newest released viscometer. We're going to inform you first on what is viscosity. So maybe some of you do not know what that is. Maybe others here are experts in rheology. So either way, I want to give a basic explanation of what viscosity is. And we're going to inform on why it's important to measure the viscosity of blood serum. So you may be asking, Christian, why should I care about this? Well, I will tell you why. So we'll also show how we can measure the viscosity of blood serum with our microVISC Pro instruments, which includes the VROC technology. And then we'll show some experimental results we obtained for blood serum. And then last but not least, we'll be doing this live demo in which we measure the viscosity of a blood serum sample and show you the real-time results. So let's dive into the next viscosity slide. So we're going to review some basics of viscosity to make sure we're on the same page. So viscosity is the resistance to deformation. So in this case, the resistance to shear deformation, it reflects the molecular behavior as you have adjacent fluid elements are forced to slide past each other in the shear flow. So since they impact the viscosity, the size, shape, and individual the interactions can be gauged by knowing the viscosity of your fluid. So since we're talking about viscosity of blood serum, we'd like to share with you a cool application with blood viscosity. So our colleague, Dr. James Bogan, with Florida Zoo Botanical Gardens, has been researching this endangered eastern indigo snake. So this snake is native to this the southeastern region of the United States, and he hypothesized that a high blood viscosity or hyperviscosity is contributing to the species endangerment. So now he's working to compile enough data to find their ideal blood viscosity. So knowing this baseline, they can now continue research to determine how widespread hyperviscosity is and look into potential causes of this hyperviscosity in the snakes. So it's pretty cool stuff on how relevant this blood viscosity is for multiple applications. So let's go over why you may want to measure the viscosity of your blood serum. So one reason is we want to see if it's the viscosity is in a healthy range or not. So if the viscosity is too high, you can have hyperviscosity syndrome. So this is a clinical condition that impairs blood flow, right? An increase in blood viscosity, it leads to more resistance in the blood vessels. So it's causing this drop in flow. And this can lead to unwanted symptoms. So a quick Google search will include symptoms like bleeding, neurological issues, and so on. So how do we know the viscosity of the blood serum is in a healthy range? So do you take the vial and slosh it around and see with your eyes? Well, no, this is not very quantitative, as you know, and besides, the viscosity of blood serum is less than 10 centipoise, so it can be difficult to detect viscosity differences for this range, even with other rheometers like coaxial sensor systems. So although there's not an exact number that is characterizing the high versus normal viscosity, a healthy serum has been listed around less than 1.5 at body temperature. And the symptoms of hyperviscosity typically occur for levels above 3. So that's a reason to measure the blood serum viscosity. So now what conditions can manifest with this high viscosity? So the most commonly listed ones are this, I'm going to butcher the pronunciation and I apologize. So Waldenstrom macroglobulinemia and multiple myeloma. So with these conditions, there's a cancer in the blood, which leads to an overproduction of immunoglobulin proteins, and that increases the serum viscosity. And of course, this can lead to hyperviscosity syndrome. So now maybe you're asking, what about the reverse? Are there conditions that are going to decrease? Are they going to decrease the serum viscosity? Now, there are indeed conditions that do this, but these are less common. So if you have low blood viscosity, it's termed hypoviscosity, and this can be an effect of conditions like nutrition, liver disease, or other conditions that lead to lower protein levels in the blood. Now, we can also use viscosity measurements to monitor the progression of any of these conditions. So if a patient starts at a high viscosity, like 4 centipoi, they can receive treatments, and we can measure over days, weeks, or months to see how the viscosity is going to drop over time. So how can we get highly accurate measurements of viscosity using our VROC technology? How does the technology work? So here we have a little video. Let's see if it works here. Maybe if I go back. That's okay. So perhaps we could show this another time. So the VROC stands for viscometer rheometer on a chip. I'll explain it instead. And we push the sample at a well-controlled shear rate through this microfluidic channel here. So it's about 20 to 50 microns thick. So the sample is going this way through the channel and then out this outlet. So as the fluid is flowing, you have the pressure sensors detecting a linear pressure drop along the channel during the flow. So this gives you the shear stress, which when you divide that by the shear rate, gives you the viscosity. So you have this pressure drop along the channel because of this resistance that the fluid is encountering in the channel. This resistance, it's coming from the walls of the channel, and you can think of it as likely like a friction force, like a friction that's created from the wall of the channel. So this creates this pressure in the channel that also causes the pressure drop. So as I mentioned, we have a direct control of the shear rate with our pump. And what we measure is the pressure drop, which gives the shear stress. And from the direct control, we can obtain accurate and absolute viscosity measurements that are based on the first principle, which is viscosity being divided, viscosity being shear stress divided by shear rates. So our channel is compatible with many compounds. Only one that's would not be compatible is HF. So a very strong acid. Last, this is effectively a closed system with no evaporation. So there's no possibility of protein aggregation at the interface that can cause any artifacts in viscosity or things that you would be undesired. So this is the microVISC Pro that we use to get the serum data. You will see it in a bit with the demo. So you will load you load your sample into a disposable pipette. You can use as little as 100 microliters, and then you get continual measurements with many samples. This means you don't have to clean between samples, provided the samples have the same medium or buffer. It also has a built-in Peltier temperature control for temperatures between 4 and 70. It has high repeatability and accuracy, which allows for resolving these small differences in viscosity with blood serum. And this kind of technology is, I would say, what's the word? Unparalleled, I would say, in accuracy and repeatability when you're measuring low viscosity samples like blood serum. So here are results that we got using the microVISC Pro. We measured 10 separate blood serum samples, all came from the same source. So we should expect the viscosity to remain consistent, right? Which is in fact what we saw with the microVISC Pro. And this allowed us to resolve, we can see that it can allow us to resolve small viscosity differences if the samples were different. So the viscosity is around 1.1, repeatability that we calculated at about 1% RSD. And for the serum viscosity, less than 5% RSD is good for the diagnosis and monitoring of hyperviscosity syndrome. So for each sample, we loaded about 300 microliters, and we measured the viscosity 10 times for each sample. So this is about 100 separate viscosity measurements over the 10 samples. This took us only about an hour to finish, one syringe after the next. So we used 300 microliters per sample, but all you need is 100 microliters. And this volume will give you at least 3 viscosity readings. So we use more volume to get more data pretty much. So we call these continual measurements because there's no cleaning in between the samples. So we use the next sample to push the previous sample out of the chip. So after running all the samples, we cleaned with a buffer with 1% surfactant solution. We recommend Tween 20, polysorbate 20, another name. I think polysorbate 20 is the more common name. So this solution, cleaning solution, is also used as a standard before and after the serum samples were measured. And before all these measurements were even started, we also measured against a viscosity standard. So a medical grade viscosity standard, MGVS 20, that you may be familiar with already. So here we show a little bonus of some blood viscosity data as well, blood plasma viscosity. So we measured it as a function of shear rate, and we compare it here against the viscosity of a different blood serum. And we can see the blood serum has lower viscosity than the blood plasma. So the viscosity of the plasma is higher, likely because it also contains clotting factors like fibrinogen, which the serum does not. So the blood plasma viscosity can be used as an indicator for other things as well, like systemic inflammation. And this is because the fibrinogen in the protein goes up during inflammation or other like infections, tissue damage. And there are also associations with other conditions. Could be cardiovascular disease, cancer, and others most likely. So both plasma and serum are behaving, are showing their behavior here, and they're behaving as Newtonian fluids. The blood plasma may be shear thinning for these lower shear rates, but it's not well discernible here. So let's go ahead and continue now with the microVISC Pro demo. So let me go ahead and share the webcam. Let's see if we can do that the most effectively. Perfect. There we go. There's the webcam. Okay. And then let me go back here to the main window. Perfect. So now I hope you can see the webcam. Please let me know if you cannot. I'm just going to do a quick confirmation that the webcam is showing. I will be checking here. Okay, perfect. Excellent. So let's go ahead and show you. So this is the microVISC Pro. And this, what we have here is our human blood serum sample. So here we have installed already one of the chips for measuring the viscosity of the sample. And this chip is perfect for measuring the viscosity of any blood serum. So this is the A05 chip. So any serum you can measure. So if with proper cleaning, these chips here can last, easily be used for many years. So let's go ahead and load the disposable pipette with our sample. So we take a disposable pipette here. There we go. And then I'll take my sample. And then I'm simply going to just load it, just like you would load any sample with most samples with a pipette. Okay. So there we go. Then I'm going to ensure we have a minimal amount of volume of not volume of bubbles. So that looks good. And then we gently wiped it off a bit. And now we mount the pipette onto the unit. So we remove the previous one. And then we go ahead and mount that there. That's it. There we go. So now we close the cover. And here we can see the microVISC Pro LCD touchscreen. So we have two measurement modes available. One is the automatic. This means that the instrument picks the rate for you based on the chip type and the viscosity of the sample. The other is the fixed rate mode, which means you get to select the shear yourself. So for blood serum, all you need to run is the fixed rate measurement mode. So we enter here the rate. So let's enter, we have already the max rate, that should be great. And then we enter the number of segments. So we're gonna keep this as 12. So this is the number of measurements we want for the sample. And then we enter if we want temperature control or not, and what that temperature should be. So we have 37 degrees, that should be good. That's what I want to measure at. Now we press start, and then we enter the, oh, okay.
Because the UI cannot see.
Okay, thank you. So now we go ahead and enter the sample name. So we already have the previous sample name entered here. So I'll select that and then press start again. So now the unit will start taking the measurements. So now the unit is displaying this screen here, which is where you'll be able to see the viscosity data and experiment progress. So what you just saw happen is that the pusher block was moving until it detected the pipette plunger. And then here, of course, you can stop immediately at any time or pause the measurements. So now what it's doing now, perhaps you cannot see very well with this up close here, so I'm going to try to get a little bit more close to the instrument. Let me close the blood serum sample first. I forgot to do that. Perfect. So let's move around. I'm acting as both camera person and presenter, so it's a little bit more involved, but I'm going to try to make this work, okay? I want to make sure I give the best experience possible. So let me go ahead and adjust this. I apologize if I'm making you, there we go. So let's go ahead and, all right, wonderful. Great, great. So now at this moment, it's already starting the measurements. So right now it's doing the priming, which is pretty much introducing the sample into the chip. So I wanted to show some of the things that are going on here. You can see the real-time results appearing as it's measuring, as it's doing this priming of the sample. So we can see that you get the viscosity reported, and then you also get a value called R squared, which is here. So this gives you the quality of the data. So 1 is ideal, so it should be ideally higher than 0.996. Percent FS is the percent full scale, so meaning how much pressure the leading sensor is subjected to as a percentage of its max pressure. You also get other values like flow rate, shear rate, of course, temperature, shear stress. You may or may not be interested in some of these, but they're there to as relevant information. So now we can see that it's already at segment 3. So it's already taken 3 viscosity measurements of this one sample that we added. And then if we click here on this plot icon, let's go ahead and do that. Cool. So we can see that it's showing here on the left, my favorite plot. I love it. It's the viscosity versus time plot. So this shows the measurements of viscosity of the sample as it's being pushed through the chip. So like a transient viscosity versus time. So we can see the data looks great, very flat, steady state shear viscosity is what we want to get. And then you can see that here it's some green, this green dots. So these are the points that are going to be averaged for this one segment to report to you the viscosity measurement for this segment. And then on the right, we can see the temperature. if we tap on this part here on the top, we can see that each sensor is pressure versus time. So this chip has 3 sensors. Chips typically will have 3 or 4 sensors. So this will show you if there's any like tiny bubble that passes to the channel, you can detect that here. But if there's like a tiny bubble, that's okay. It will simply be removed from the channel. So you're not going to, your data is not going to suffer just from a few tiny bubbles. It's only an issue if you have a big, big enough bubble. So we can see on the right this characteristic linear pressure drop for this Hagen-Poiseuille flow through the channel. There it is. So what the system does is that it linearly fits these data points, takes the R squared, and this is that R squared that's reported to you. So again, it should be higher than 0.996. So now we can see that it's taking the measurements. It's almost done. It did it very quickly, one after the next. So we can let it finish. So it's doing the penultimate one, I think. Yeah, number 11. Oh, it's done. That's it. So it already took all the 12 measurements. It's the pusher block that pushed the sample through is already going back. I think you can hear it right now. It's making that that sound. Here I can show you. There it is moving back. It's ran out of sample, so it's pretty much moving the pusher block back. So at this point, you can eject the pipette, and if we have another sample of blood serum, if you have another sample, you can simply load it and run it just like we did with the previous one. So there's no cleaning required in between the samples. After you only after you run, let's say 10 samples, you can run a cleaning solution just like you ran this blood serum sample. So the cleaning solution will act as both reference standard, so you'll measure the viscosity of it before and after to ensure the data you're getting is consistent, of the best quality. Cleaning solution we recommend is 1x PBS buffer with tween 20. So we have that here. So it's tween 20 surfactant non-ionic at 1% concentration should be good. And this we found that works well for cleaning effectively the channel. So after the measurements, you have a quick access to all of your data here. So let me go there. You can also access this in the main home window anytime in the screen. So you can store over 1 million viscosity measurements. This even includes all the plots that you saw earlier as well. So, so here you can see the table of your data. You can see which sample you ran, when you ran it. You can go back and forth between the samples that you were running, between PBS and so on. Let's go back to that one. You can filter based on the date range. And then you can also look at the plots of all your measurements. So if you go there, we can see everything is stored. And then you can quickly export all this data to your drive. So right here, export data, multiple file types. You click and it allows you to do that. There's this one here called Clarity. That's our analysis, RealSense analysis software. And this allows you to do more in-depth studies, analysis on your data, as well as for additional data filtering of your results, if you're interested in that. So if you have proper care of the instruments and good cleaning, your chip is going to last a long time. We have chips out there with other instruments that have been taken good care of and are like 10 plus years old. So we recommend proper cleaning. We also recommend that you validate the chip from time to time. We recommend medical grade viscosity standard, MGVS 20. That's what we use in-house. You can also send in the chip to us once a year and we can validate that for you and then send it back to you. So now here, let's a few other things I'd like to show. we can create, if we go here to the settings, so here in these utilities, you can create new user accounts if people want to have their own separate accounts. So you can make hundreds of thousands of accounts if you want, but I doubt that you will have that many people measuring the viscosity. You can also save your data to a drive. You can back up your entire database at once. You can do other things here as well that we can show you later if you want. So now let's go ahead and do a quick review of the data that we took. So let me go ahead and stop sharing my webcam and share the slides at this point. Excellent. Okay. So just like we measured with the microVISC Pro, here we can show, let me see, this is not allowing me to click. Let's review. Okay, just like we measured with the microVISC Pro, here we show the viscosity versus segment number for the blood serum sample. So we just got about, I think, 11 measurements. Here we're showing 10 on one sample. So this is on one sample in this time. In the previous plot that I showed you, that was 10 different samples. But here it's one sample, 10 repeats. So we can see the level is consistent in viscosity. The error bars are tiny. You can actually see the x-axis is pretty zoomed in. So each of these increments is what, like 0.02 centipoi? All this data is what, like around 0.01 centipoi? So this is the data you can get with one pipette within a few minutes, as you just saw with the sample that I ran. So let's do a quick recap. I don't want to keep you too long. So we informed that what the viscosity was. We then informed that why it's important to measure the viscosity of blood serum. We showed how we can measure the viscosity of serum with the microVISC Pro. We also showed some experimental results that we obtained with the blood serum. And then last, but not least, definitely not least, we gave that demo with the microVISC Pro, from which you saw we quickly got useful and accurate data. Useful with the blood serum, accurate, very repeatable, well, from this well-calibrated chip. So if you want to know more about how your samples behave, perhaps you have a specific serum or plasma sample, we have excellent sample testing services with combined 7+ years of experience. We can test your samples and provide you with a detailed report of your data, of the data you want to see. So that's the QR code if you're interested. Feel free to scan that. And then, of course, we can have meetings, talks, discuss what do you want to see with your data. We'd be happy to do that. And then, yeah, we have additional information here, our social media info. And yeah, I think that's about it. Yeah, but I want to thank you. I want to thank you very much for attending the webinar, for being here, listening to the talk. And at this moment, we'll take questions. Let's see if we have any, what questions we have at the moment. Wonderful, wonderful. Let's see, questions. Okay, let me go ahead and pop this out. How can I do that? Ah, there we go. Thank you very much as well. Do you recommend using this for plasma and perhaps blood as well? For plasma, absolutely. You can use for plasma. So we decided to focus on serum viscosity for the webinar, but as you saw, we've done plasma viscosity measurements before, and yes, you can get results for that. Blood itself is a little bit more tricky. We don't recommend, because you have the blood cells can separate from the rest of the medium. So this makes measurements a little more tricky with microfluidics. We do have somebody who's measuring customers who measure viscosity of blood with our instrument, but I've been told their conditions are more unique. They're doing it on different conditions, and if you want those details, we can share that with you. But yeah, that's thank you for the questions. That's very good to know, what samples to use for your measurements. But if you can ensure, this actually relates to another question we have, is the max particle size of the channel. So the max particle size of the channel should be around 10% of the depth of the channel. So this chip is about 50 microns, 50. So the max particle size we recommend that you have is about 5 microns. If it's a soft particle like a cell, then you can have a little bit larger than that, 5 microns. And we have chips that have bigger depths, 100 microns and larger, like an A10 chip. So that will be good for those larger structures. Now, if you can ensure that that those like the cells are not separating from the rest of the medium, then you can try measuring with the device and get you may be able to get consistent results in that case. So here is a question: have you published the viscosity of plasma samples of multiple myeloma patients? So the only study that we published was on, we have an app note that we released, and we did compare the viscosity from a patient with a healthy serum with another sample with a patient with multiple myeloma. So if you want, we can send you that app notes, or you can access it through our website, and it's you can access that free app notes. So that's, you might be interested in reading that. So that's the only one that I know of. What is the handheld microviscometer difference compared to microVISC Pro? So I think you're referring to the old, the original microVISC 1, the orange device. So there are definitely improvements between that one and this one. With the original microVISC Pro, the temperature control was external. So it didn't have it built-in temperature control like this one. So what you had to do is you needed that a box or that came with the instruments. You plugged it in and then you put it inside the box, and then you had to wait until the temperature reached. So that would take longer. In this case, we have a built-in Peltier control that's much faster. So that's a difference. We have, we can send you a chart with the differences. We have much faster updating of the software if that needs to happen. You have the LCD display. Previously, you could only store about 25 or 50 measurements if you're using the computer, but now you can have more than 1 million. And we're being a pretty we're going on the low end. So I know that it can be up to like 1.5 or 2 million, but we mentioned 1 million. Other differences is here you can quickly see the automatic mode. The volumes that are you being used up for your pipette are less now, so you can run more measurements with the same sample, get more data points. Another difference you can have there. Also, we have a more robust cleaning. So the cleaning mode, so you can clean just by running a measurements, just like I mentioned before. You put the cleaning sample, run measurements, and you get data, and at the same time you clean. But we also have a cleaning mode that allows for soaking. You can even add a higher temperature for this cleaning mode. And if you want to clean over the length of 1 hour, you can do that here. And then the temperature range is also 4 to 70. With the other device, it was more limited. Ah, thank you for that. Yeah, so I thought I was showing the microVISC Pro screen webcam. Somebody reminded me that I'm not perfect. So yeah, that's, I think you can see it now. So this is the cleaning option. This is the cleaning mode that I just mentioned. And then the data here, I also mentioned you can have millions of data points stored, or of separate tables and charts stored. And then you have the temperature control here as well. So this is related to the temperature control I mentioned. So let's see, we'll allow a couple more minutes for any additional questions. I don't want to take up too much of your time. That's a good question. So for that, you can, if you want to get a quote with microVISC Pro, I can give you so that you can contact the sales representative for your territory. So it depends where you are. It will be either Rick or Dave, or maybe Ashley. So if you want, I can give you that information, or you can contact them directly. You can also send me an email, and I will forward it to them. So I can also send you that information after the webinar. For each measurement, how much volume do you need? So that's a good question. So for each measurement, the maximum volume we need is about 30 microliters. So I don't think if you're exporting the data on the Excel, you'll see on the Excel on the column how much volume that it used for each measurement. And in this case, we're using about 30. That's why if you have 100 microliters that you load, that's why I mentioned you can get about three different separate viscosity measurements for that one sample of 100 microliters. So we'll allow a couple more minutes for any additional questions. Thank you guys. I enjoy answering questions. So let's see. Another question, what is the max viscosity for this chip? So if I can show that here on the screen. So if you we can go here to this fixed rate part, and here on the right, you can see the information for that chip. So this is the A05. You can see the viscosity range for that chip, which is well above any like plasma blood serum viscosity. You can see the flow rate range. The max shear rate will be about 8,000. You can see the temperature range. So you can measure at any temperature within that range, and I think we just measured at 37. And then it even shows the last sample you ran through the chip. So it's showing that the sample I just ran. And let me go back to the questions here. I think I lost. There we go. So the question is, will the old yellow handheld viscometer still be able to be serviced from RioSense in terms of chips? So the servicing for that, for the chips, yes, it should still be serviced, but you can confirm with your sales representative. But from what I know, you should still be able to get servicing. And then we'll take one more question. So we see here, when I am cleaning the chip for this blood viscosity test, how many pipettes do I need? That's a good question. So you only need one pipette. So like I mentioned, after you run the blood serum samples, you take one pipette with your cleaning solution, the buffer with surfactants, and you run that pipette, do the measurements, and that's it. That's all you need for cleaning the blood serum. Excellent. Well, I want to thank you guys very much for joining the webinar. Thank you for all your questions. It was a pleasure to be able to, show you this, give you the talk. And please, if you have any more questions, feel free to contact me or send an email to RioSense, using any of our mediums, and we'll be happy to help you with that. Any questions you can have. All right, thank you very much, everybody. Have a good rest of your week and a happy weekend as well.